Hello guys, welcome to the English lesson. Today's English lesson is a continuation from the previous lesson where we started looking at the mastering English tenses for confident speaking. So in our previous lesson, we started looking at mastering English tenses for confident speaking. So in today's lesson, we are going to continue from where we ended in our previous lesson. All right, so before we continue looking at what we are supposed to look at today, we are going to do a recap or revision of what we covered in the previous lesson. All right, so in the previous lesson we answered this question here: what are tenses? Then we said tenses are the different forms of a verb which tells us when an action happens. So we say the tenses are the different forms of a verb which tells us when an action happens. Okay. In other words, a verb takes different forms. So those different forms which a verb takes so as to tell us when an action took place are known as tenses. So the different forms a verb takes in a different time frame to tell us when an activity took place are known as tenses. Okay, so here is an example to understand this here. All right, so in this example we are saying let us look at the different forms of the verb work in different time frames. So we are looking at the verb work, and we are looking at the different forms the verb work is going to take in different times, in different time frames. Okay, so let us consider this timeline here. We have our timeline here. So in this timeline we have the past, then we have the present, and then we have the future. So this verb work here will take different forms depending on when an action took place. So for an action that takes place in the present or now, the verb work will just be walk or walking. So walk usually is used um, for actions which happens oftenly, or for habits, or for facts. Okay, then walking here, the verb can take the form of walking for an action which is happening now. Okay, so this verb can take a different form for an action which took place in the past. So when we are using it to describe an action which took place in the past, then the verb walk changes to walked in the past. So when the verb walk is used in the past, then it changes the form as walked. So walked describes an action which took place in the past. Okay, so for an action which is yet to take place in the future, the verb walk will change to a different form: will walk. Will walk. Okay, so these now become the tenses for the verb walk. In the past, the verb walk will be walked. In the present, for an action happening now, the verb walk can be walk or walking. And for an action which is going to take place in the future, the verb walk can be will walk. Okay, so here we are saying that the tenses help us understand whether something happened in the past, or is happening in the present, or will happen in the future. So tenses are there to help us understand something, or to understand whether something happened in the past, or is happening in the present, or will happen in the future. Okay, so that's what the tenses do. They are there to help us understand whether something happened in the past. So when we use walked, it means we are talking about something which happened in the past. When we use walk or walking, which means we are talking about something happening in the present. When we use we walk, it means we are talking about something which will happen in the future. So it is important that you master these and understand them well, so that you will be able to speak English confidently. All right. So now we also talked about basic tense categories. So we talked about also the basic tense categories, where we said the tenses fall in these three main time frames. So because of these three many times in this timeline, past, where we said past is about yesterday or something which happened before, then present tense for what? For something happening today or now. So these are the different what categories: past tense for something which happened yesterday or before or in the past. Then the present tense is for something which is happening now or today. And then we are talking of future tense, which is something which will happen tomorrow or after. And then we looked at the same verb walk, which changes to walked. It is walked because it is talking about something which happened in the future. Then when it is walk or walking, it is talking about something happening now. And if it is we walk, it is talking about something to happen in the future. Okay, so it's very important that we understand these tenses here and master them very well. Okay, so now let's move to today's lesson. So today we are talking of part 2 of our lesson, and in part 2 subtopic, past tenses. So in the previous lesson we talked about present tenses. In today's lesson we are going to talk about the past tenses. Okay, so it is very important that in this lesson we understand what the past tenses are. All right, so before we do that, let us look at the learning objectives of today's lesson. So today's lessons, these are the learning objectives. Okay, so in today's lesson it is expected that you will be able to identify and understand the basic structures of past tenses, and also it is expected that you will be able to apply past tenses correctly in spoken and sentences. And then it is expected that after learning, you will be able to remember the form and usage of past simple, past continuous, and past perfect tenses. Okay, so make sure you pay much attention as I walk you through this lesson. All right, so now let us look at past tense. Okay, so let us look at the past tense now in detail. So past tense, what are past tense? Okay, so we are saying past tenses talk about actions that already happened. So past tenses talk about actions that already happened. Okay, so there are three types of past tense. Okay, there are three types of past tense. So we'll be looking at each one of them one by one. So let us start with the past simple tense. So under past tense, we have three types of past tenses. The first one is known as the past simple tense. So what is past simple tense? We are saying the past simple tense is the tense which is used to describe completed actions in the past. So past simple tenses are used to describe completed actions in the past. So if there is an action which took place in the past and that action was completed in the past, then it can be referred to as a past simple tense, or it can be described using past simple tense. Okay, so we are saying if there is an activity which took place in the past and it was completed in the past, then that activity can be described by past simple tenses. Okay, like if I say I walked to school yesterday, I walked to school yesterday. So the verb walked there is in past simple tense. Why is it in past simple tense? Because the whole entire activity took place in the past and it got completed, or it was completed when I say I walked to school yesterday. So I moved from home and walked to school, and that got completed. Okay, or that was completed. Okay, so past simple tenses, we are saying past simple tense is used to describe completed actions in the past. Then the second one under the past tense is the past continuous tense. So here we are saying that the past continuous tense describes actions that were ongoing at a specific time in the past. So when we talk of past continuous, because of the word continuous, so it means that the past continuous tenses are used to describe actions that were ongoing at a specific time in the past. Okay, like when you want to talk about a past continuous tense, you can say that I was walking when you called me yesterday. I was walking when you called me yesterday. Or I was washing the plates when you called me yesterday. So that is now I was walking, or I was washing the plates. So I was washing, it is a past continuous tense. So meaning that when someone called, the action was ongoing, the washing. I was washing the plates when you called me. So when that person called, the action of washing the plates was taking place. Okay, so that's why we are saying past continuous tense are used to describe actions that were ongoing at a specific time in the past. Like at what time was an action going on? When you called me. So when you called me, I was washing the plates. So at that particular time when this person was called, that is the specific time in the past. And the action which was ongoing is washing the plates. I was washing the plates when you called me. You see? So this is when we use past continuous tense to describe an action that was going on at a specific time in the past. Then the other type of past tense is past perfect tense. So here we are saying the past perfect tense is used to talk about actions that were completed before another action in the past. So these ones now are used to describe past perfect tenses, are used to talk about actions that were completed before another action in the past. So here you can have two actions in the past. Now, one action has completed, another one takes in. Okay? Like, had it not been for you, had it been not for your help, I wouldn't have done that. So, all these two actions are taking place in the past. Had it not been for your assistant. So, had it not been, that is also describing one action. For your assistant, had it not been for your assistant, I wouldn't have done what I did. So you see, there are two actions. These two actions were happening both in the past, but they were happening one after the other. So the past perfect tense is used to talk about actions that were completed before another action in the past. So we are going to look at each one of these one by one in detail and give examples on how to use them so that you understand very well. All right, so right away, let's go straight into now details. Okay, so let's look at now past simple tense. So when we look at past simple tense, we already said that these are used to talk about an event that took place in the past and it got completed. An event or an action which was completed in the past. So past simple tense are used to describe an action which was completed in the past. So now the actions can be in three forms. The structure talks about the three forms the actions can be. It can be positive, it can be negative, it can be a question. Okay, so if you are dealing with a positive action, you have a subject in that sentence, then you have a past tense verb. So that verb goes in the past tense. Okay, like we have base verbs here for regular verbs. So these are regular verbs here. Base verb, the verb itself as it's supposed to be, but this base verb in the past, it changes to, like play goes to played, then walk goes to walked, then jump goes to jumped, then clean goes to cleaned for regular verbs. So regular verbs, when used in past tense, you just add ed so that in past simple they become played, like play played, walk walked, jump jumped, then clean cleaned. But we have also irregular verbs. So irregular verbs are these verbs here, like go, eat, write, buy. So these ones here in past simple, you do not add ed like we did here. They just take different form and you don't have a pattern to follow. For regular verbs, there's a pattern to follow when changing them to past. You add ed. But these ones, they don't have a regular pattern that you need to follow. Like see, go, which is just a base verb, but in the past it goes to went. Eat as a base verb, but in the past it goes to ate in past simple. Then write as the regular verb, it is write like that, but when it is in the past simple it goes to wrote. Then base verb again, buy here, it is as buy as it is, but when it goes to the past simple it changes to bought. So here now, if you are constructing a positive sentence that is describing an action which took place in the past, then the subject, then plus the past tense. So you can say I played football yesterday. I is the subject, then you use past tense as played. You have seen. So play in the past changes to played. I played football yesterday. Okay, but if it is in negative, you want to describe an action which took place in the past but in the negative way, you can say that I did not then play football yesterday. So here, for an action which took place in the past, which did not take place in the past, then if you are describing a negative action which took place in the past, then the verb remains the same, it doesn't change. But what makes the action or the description as though it is talking about something which took place in the past is the word did here. So did is also used to show that the action and the discussion took place in the past, okay, or the action being described took place in the past, okay. So like you say, I did not play football yesterday. So play will maintain the same form, okay. Now if you are describing a question which took place in the past, okay, or you are describing an action in the past in form of a question, then you start with did, then the subject, then base verb. So the base verb also doesn't change there, it stays the same. Like you can say, did you play football yesterday? Did you play football yesterday? So you have seen here, did now is used also to show that the question being asked is about an action which took place in the past. Did you play football yesterday? So you have seen. So play will stay the same. Let's say walk here. So in a positive way, for describing an action which took place in the past, you can say, I walked to school yesterday. So walk changes to walked. Okay, so you use past simple here. I walked. Instead of using walk, you say I walked. You are getting from the past here. I walked to school yesterday. But if you are talking about a negative action in the past, then you cannot use walk. You just use the verb, base verb here, where you say, I did not walk to school yesterday. Okay? But if it is a question, you can say, did I walk to school yesterday? Just like that. Okay? So for irregular verbs here, go or changes to went. So like if you are to use it to describe an action which took place in the past, you can say, I went to school yesterday. So instead of saying go, you say went. You cannot say I go to school yesterday. That would be wrong. So you can say I went to school yesterday. So go changes to went here. So this is just for a positive statement which or action which took place in the past. Now for negative, you can say I did not go to school. You have seen, so you use go here. I did not go. You get the normal verb. You cannot say I didn't, then you say went to school. That would be wrong. Of course, many people make mistakes like that. They will say I didn't went. So if you have a negative like did not is a negative here. Did not. Did is already in the past. Okay? Then you use another past. It will be wrong. You cannot say I did not went to school yesterday. That will be wrong. You just have to say now I did not go to school yesterday. I did not then go to school yesterday. So you have seen here we are using the base as it is when we are talking about the negative. So the base will stay the same. Okay? Then here in form of a question, again the base will stay the same. If you ask like, did you go to school yesterday? You cannot say, did you went to school yesterday? That would be wrong. So like go will remain the same in the question here. It will remain go here as a verb. Okay? These they stay the same if you are asking a question for an action which took place in the past. So you can say, did you go to school yesterday? You cannot say, did you went to school yesterday? That would be wrong. You cannot use a past tense here when you are asking a question. Did is already going to take it in the past. Okay, so that is about the past simple tense. So now let us look at the examples here. So we have examples here using regular and the irregular verbs. So the first example says, she cleaned her room yesterday. So here we are talking about a positive what? Positive action that is describing what took place in the past. Okay, so here you have seen we are using the past tense here, which is verb, which is clean, changes to cleaned. She cleaned her room yesterday. Okay, then 2, the train went to Lusaka last Monday. So this also is a positive action. Okay, so this is describing in a positive way an action which took place in the past. Okay, so the verb is go, and then since it is a positive description, we use the past. So go changes to went. The train went to Lusaka last Monday. Then 3, they played football last Sunday. They played football last Sunday. So the verb is play here, which, because this description is a positive description of what happened in the past, so play changes to played. Okay, then 4, he bought fresh vegetables last weekend. So the irregular verb here is buy. Buy changes to bought in the past tense. Okay, so he bought fresh vegetables last weekend. Okay, so this is all about past simple tense. That's how we use them. Now let's move to past continuous tense. So when we are talking about past continuous tenses, we said these are used to describe an action which was going on in a specific time in the past, or at a specific time in the past. So the structure of the past continuous tense is here. If it is in the positive, you have subject, then was for third person singular, and they, and for plural here, third person plural, third person singular here, like I, he, she, it. So when you are talking of I, or you are talking of he or she or it, it is was. When you are using it in a plural, you use were. Then the verb is changed by adding ing to it. So when you are dealing with a positive, you have subject, either you use was or were. Was is for singular, third person singular, like um, you are talking about I, you are talking of he, she, or it. Okay, like if we look at how it is being used, like if you have the verb here, which is play. So in past continuous tense, play can either go with was playing, or it can go were playing. Okay, so like you say we, if it is we, you say we, here the subject is we, then you cannot say I'm using play here, right? You say we, then you say were playing yesterday. It will make sense. You cannot say we was playing yesterday. That is going to be wrong. So you say we were playing yesterday. So to the verb play, you have added ing. So all these regular verbs here, when they are changing to past continuous tense, you add ing like that. Okay, so you say I, if it is I, like singular there, I is singular, you cannot use were. You cannot say I were playing yesterday. I, then you say were, then playing yesterday. No, you can say I was. Then play now changes to playing yesterday. I was playing. Then you can say she was playing. He was playing. Okay. So for I, she, he, it, you use was when talking about past continuous tense in a positive way, describing an activity which took place in the past or which was taking place in the past. Okay. Then for a negative activity which was taking place in the past, you have subject, then you can have was or were, then you can have not, then you can have also the verb, then you add ing. So you can say that in the negative way, you can say I was not playing yesterday. I was not playing yesterday. They were not playing yesterday. Okay. But you can say he was not playing yesterday. So you are to play, you are adding ing. So playing. Okay. Then we move to the question. So if it is a question, here you start with either was or were, then the subject, then the verb, and add ing there. Like if it is singular, you can say was I playing yesterday, or was she playing yesterday, was she playing yesterday, or you can say was he playing yesterday, or you can say was it playing yesterday. If it is rain, you can say was it raining yesterday, or were it raining yesterday. It will not make sense if you use were. Okay. So was it raining yesterday? You have seen it is now a question. So you start with the was or were. So these are used now to indicate that the event took place in the past. Then the ing, it talks about that an event was taking place or was ongoing. So if it is a regular verb, it's the same situation now. You add ing also here. So here it becomes easy, but usually you remove some words from here. It, you add ing. Okay. But from go, you add ing. So go goes to going. Okay. Then eat, eating. Right, you remove e, you add the ing. Then buy, you add ing. But you use also in front of them either was or were. Okay. So you say I was going to school yesterday. Okay. Or they were going to school yesterday. Or you say they were not going to school yesterday. Or you say I was not going to school yesterday. Okay. Then if it is the question, you can say was I going to school yesterday, or were they going to school yesterday? Okay, like that. So let us look at examples to make you understand more. Okay, so here are examples on using regular and irregular verbs in the past continuous tense. So the first one here says I was walking to the market at 10 a.m. yesterday. So you have seen I has gone with was. Then what is happening? The walk as the regular verb, they have added ing. I was walking to the market at 10 a.m. yesterday. Then 2, she was writing a letter to her friend when I called. So you have seen the irregular verb is write. Now it has changed to writing, and then you have added was here. Okay. So unfortunately, I didn't give more examples to include these here. I was only focusing on this one here, but nevertheless, I have tried to explain this here. So if it is now a plural, you say they were playing football in the park when it started to rain. So here the verb is play, but because you are using they instead of using was before playing, you use were. They were playing football in the park when it started to rain. Okay, then 4, we were eating dinner when the power went out. Okay, so we were eating dinner when the power went out. So when you check here, eat is the main verb here, so it has gone to eating, and then because of we, it has changed to were. You cannot say we was eating dinner when the power went out. No, it should go with were. We were eating dinner when the power went out. Okay, so I'm going to generate notes here so that one can read very well to be able to understand these things here. Of course, the notes will be only for those in my online class. So if you want to get those notes, you just have to join my online class. Okay, so let's move on to the next part of past tenses, which is the past perfect tense. And as usual, past perfect tense, these are used to describe an action which took place in the past. Now these actions which were happening one after the other. So past perfect tenses are used to describe actions which were taking place one after the other in the past, but which were completed after the other in the past. So past perfect tense are used to describe actions or an action which took place in the past after another. Now the form is the positive form is a subject, then plus had, then plus past participle. Okay, so also here we still have past participle, past participle, past participle. Now the base verb here is play. Now in past participle, see how it is changing. So play in a past participle, if you are using it, it should be had played. So there is had throughout. Because of that had, so it is changing the past. Now it will be now participle. The whole thing now will be considered to be past participle. Okay, so past perfect, I mean we are talking of past perfect tense. Okay, so past perfect tense, so we are saying play in past perfect tense, it will be had played. So walk, had walked. Then jump, had jumped. Then clean, had cleaned. So I've seen. So the whole thing like subject, then you have had here. So you can say I had played football yesterday. I had played football yesterday. Okay, I had played football yesterday when you came. Yeah. So if it is negative, you can have the subject, then had not, then past participle. So you can say I had not played, I had not played football yesterday. I had not, then you go to past participle. Okay, like I had, then played. So past participle, it will be just past like that. So that's how it is. So let us look at the examples here. Before we look at the examples, let's talk about the irregular verbs as well. So like go, it will go had gone. You have seen, instead of saying went, now go, goes to gone. Then eat, instead of ate, it goes to eaten, but you also add had. So had comes in, but for these irregular verbs, they change. Go goes to gone, then eat to eaten, then write to written, then buy to bought. Okay, so let us look at the examples here. Like example number 1, you have seen she had cleaned her house before the guests arrived. So both these actions took place in the past, one after the other. So there was the cleaning and there was the coming of the guest. These two activities took place in the past. So when you are describing two activities which took place in the past, one after the other, then you use past perfect tense in that manner. Okay, so I had written 3 emails before the meeting started. Okay, so you have seen, so I then had written then 3 emails before the meeting started. So the verb write had gone to written, and then you add had in front of it. I had written 3 emails before the meeting started. Then 3, they had played football many times before they joined the league. Then 4, he had eaten lunch before he went to work. I've seen. So all these are very important there. Okay, so this is where we end in today's lesson. So this is the exercise for you to practice uh, the lesson on what you have learned today. So here the first part is mastering past tenses. So here we are saying instructions: complete the exercise below to practice using the past tense, past continuous, and the past perfect tenses correctly. So part 1 of the exercise, you fill in the blanks with the past simple. So complete the sentences with the correct form of the verb in the past simple tense. So like she, then you use the correct past simple. They have given you the verb. These are the verbs that you need to change to use them in correctly in past simple tense. So she dashed her room yesterday. The train dashed to Lusaka yesterday. So you use this to change. They dash football last Sunday. He dash fresh vegetables last weekend. I dash emails yesterday morning. Okay. Then part 2, fill in the blanks. So here using past continuous. So complete the sentences with the correct form of the verb in past continuous tense. So they've given you the verbs here. Now they want you to use them correctly in past continuous tense. Like I dash to the market at 10 a.m. yesterday. She dashed a letter to her friend when I called. They dashed football in the park when it started to rain. We dashed dinner when the power went out. He dashed to the shop when I saw him. Okay, so that is part 2. Then part 3, fill in the blank spaces. The same here, you use perfect simple tense. So here you use perfect simple tense there. Okay, they've given you these verbs here. Then part 4, they are saying choose the correct form of the verb from the past simple, past continuous, or past perfect in each sentence. So they've given you here, you choose the correct one, you remove any of them. Like if you choose this one here, you say she wrote a letter when I called her, or you say she was writing a letter when I called her, or you say she had written a letter when I called her. Okay, so choose the correct form of the verb, either past, continuous, or shan. Then 2, my parents, you choose again in the park when it started to rain. Okay, so that is that. Then 3, they always shun fresh vegetables from the market. Then um, then 4, I dash here football when I injured my leg. Then 5, he, then nothing here. Then you choose his room before the guest arrived. Okay, so that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Bye until we meet again in the next lesson, when we'll be looking at the future tenses.